in states across the nation for over 10 years. So-called heartbeat bans, which would make abortion illegal as early as 18 days post-conception, first came on the legislative scene in Ohio in 2011. But the bill was blocked over and over again in the state legislature or vetoed by its Republican governor when it did manage to pass, until it finally made it into law in the spring of 2019. Mississippi and Kentucky both introduced heartbeat bans in 2013, as did Arkansas, Texas, North Dakota, and Kansas. North Dakota and Arkansas even managed to get their bills signed into law, but both of them were blocked in the courts and never went into effect, and the states did not appeal those rulings. The reason so many of these bills died in the past, or went into a sort of legal purgatory where they were allowed to simply linger untouched, was because mainstream anti-abortion activists universally opposed them in the legislature. Terrified that these challenges would make it to the Supreme Court while Kennedy was still seated and that Roe would be reaffirmed, mainstream abortion opponents like the National Right to Life Committee and Americans United for Life pressured Republicans to block them from becoming law in favor of less risky, more incremental restrictions. The biggest roadblock to extreme abortion restrictions prior to 2017 was, ironically enough, the very anti-abortion movement leadership itself. Obviously, now all of that has changed. In 2019, Ohio Right to Life, which had long been a vocal opponent to the state's proposed heartbeat legislation, turned into its biggest champion. Mississippi, Kentucky, Ohio, Georgia, Missouri, and Louisiana all passed heartbeat bans within a matter of months. And Alabama, the home of theocratic fringe former state Supreme Court Justice and failed Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore, went even further by passing a full ban on abortion at any point in a pregnancy, even if the fetus has genetic anomalies, the pregnancy resulted from sexual assault, or the health of a pregnant person is at risk. The message couldn't be any clearer. Republicans were ready for a direct and immediate challenge to Roe v. Wade, and they were no longer worried that they would not get the decision that they wanted. If there was any doubt that legal abortion rights were about to be returned to each individual state, it was discarded the moment that states across the nation began to pass the most restrictive laws they could regarding elective abortions and eliminated all popular exceptions as well. The anti-abortion movement was positive that they had 5 votes to overturn Roe, and, with that in their pocket, they were determined to leave no fertilized egg behind. They moved hard and fast, but they may very well have gone too far. Backlash to these extreme bans reverberated across the country in the weeks following their passage into law. Production companies and film and television stars announced their intentions to pull their projects out of Georgia rather than financially support a state that so blatantly disregarded bodily autonomy. Hundreds of thousands of dollars flowed into states like Alabama, Mississippi, and Missouri as abortion clinics, funds, and practical support groups that provide lodging, food, and travel received donations from everyday Americans who wanted to show their opposition to the new bans. Some ideas, like funding local reproductive rights organizations and hosting a national day of protest in cities across the U.S., energized those who wanted a public outlet for their anger and provided the financial resources needed to sustain activists' efforts. Other suggestions, such as promoting a sex strike and launching an ad hoc anti-network of strangers vowing to help strangers get abortions, were no doubt well-intentioned,